Wells Fargo has officially secured a patent for the deployment of something known as smart dust to authenticate financial transactions, according to them. And for those unfamiliar with the term, smart dust refers to microscopic networks of tiny micro-electromechanical sensors, often smaller than a grain of sand, so you cannot see them, and they float in the air around you. They detect environmental data, they communicate wirelessly, and they track your biometrics. Listen, these little tiny particles will land on you. They will be able to verify your identity without your permission. They'll say this is to prevent someone from coming in and pretending to be you, but let's be honest. Who's buying that this is for our safety? And when is this going to be in the hands of police? It can grab your heart rate, your inner temperature, your facial features, these like sensors, they can absolutely be inhaled. So and also because these micro electromechanical sensors, MEMSs, they're roughly the size of a grain of sand or like a dust mote. They can easily stay suspended in the air and can enter your respiratory tract. Inhaling them obviously can present a couple of risks. For example, irritation, lung tissue inflammation. Think about it. These are little tiny like discs essentially made of raw silicon or metals. That'll interfere with your nervous system, literally speaking. If the particles are small enough to pass into your bloodstream, your nervous system is fucked. Don't worry. They are already working on the biodegradable version to try to give you super cancer quietly. Quietly, it'll disappear into your bloodstream like it was never even there. Now you just have trace elements of metals that you never agreed to. And according to the official patent documentation, the banking giant envisions a system where these invisible airborne sensors could gather biometrics to confirm a person's identity during a payment. As the customer approaches a payment-based station, the floating microscopic sensors could gather biometrics to confirm the person's identity during any sort of payment. And essentially, that is how they're imagining this. They're imagining this is going to grab your facial imaging, it's going to be voice recognition, temperature, even your exact motions inside of the bank, your heart rate, everything. This information would instantly cross-reference with an established user profile they have on you to ensure that the individual attempting the transaction is the actual account holder. So, Wells Fargo is claiming the biometric dust could virtually eliminate identity theft and card fraud. That's the way they're going to serve this to you. They're going to go, this is, shut up, privacy advocates. I don't want to hear anything about the surveillance state, Big Brother. I don't want to hear about how this is something that you'd read about back in the 80s, like Brave New World or some shit, and now it's coming true, and now everybody, because, we're all living lives that honestly are kind of sad to go home to at the end of the day. So what is all of our solutions? It's either food, it's drugs for some people, most people it's alcohol, especially in the Midwest, you know what I mean? So a lot of people, they're just going home, and the eye drops they take in Brave New World that make everybody docile, that's what everybody's going home to. They're not going home to be creative, they're not going home to be interesting, they're not going home to learn about the world before them, they're not going home to gain any culture, they're not going home to season themselves as an individual. They're going home to, kind of dull themselves. They're going home to do nothing. And that's fine. We all get tired at the end of the day. Don't get me wrong. Leisure is great. But let's be honest, that leisure time is not spent in any meaningful or productive way for a lot of people, unfortunately. They're just they're there. You know what I mean? It's like we all turn into plants a little bit at the end of the day, where it's like we're more so decoration for our house. We're not really, participants in the house. At least that's how it feels, you know what I mean? And the tech experts are emphasizing the patent filing is simply a way to secure the intellectual property, and it does not mean that invisible banking sensors will be floating in your local branch anytime soon, coming eventually, but not anytime soon. This is just showing that major corporations are actively planning for a highly invasive, frictionless future of commerce, where it's frictionless because we don't need your permission anymore. The moment you walked in, that was your permission. You've allowed us into your body without... Listen, this sounds incredibly invasive. This sounds like something out of a poem that would really terrify some intellectual art student or whatever. This is kind of a scary future that we're envisioning. And I don't know whether or not this is a good or bad thing. I really don't know at this point, because I'm going, listen, if the surveillance state is here, if flock cameras for some reason are able to find you if you urinated in public, but they're not able to find that 4-year-old who went missing last week around the school area, area where you know they have flock cameras set up everywhere. By the way, the police force probably just took that kid, kidnapped him, and ate him at some Freemason ritual. That's probably exactly what happened to that kid, unfortunately, but what are you going to do about it? Whatever body they don't find, the police force, they end up in the river. We're going to talk about that later, actually. You know what? Let's just drop it right now. A body recovered from the Red River in Moorhead, Minnesota, interestingly enough. Just this morning, the body of a male was recovered early this Wednesday morning by the Moorhead Police Department.
A body recovered from the Red River on the Moorhead side early on this Wednesday morning. This in from Katie Edish, Public Safety Communications. At approximately 12:56 a.m., authorities received a report of a body in the Red River near First Avenue North. Emergency responders arrived quickly and recovered a male individual who was transported to the Ramsey County Medical Examiner's office for further evaluation. At this time, there are...
How is he ever going to learn how to swim if you save him?
No obvious signs of trauma, and the Moorhead Police Department is working to identify the individual. This remains an active investigation, and additional information will be shared when it becomes releasable.
I'm Carlson for iNews.tv. I love you, Neil Carlson. Thank you so much for keeping us well and informed. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't even know what to say at this point. Do you listen to this show often? Which Greek school of thought do you think most accurately applies to the general viewing audience, in your opinion? There's Plato, whom believed that what you watch becomes who you are. He thought that when you viewed or consumed tales of lust, wrath, feuding, betrayal, it would eventually subconsciously allow you to be okay with it. You know what I mean? It subconsciously programs you that this is the normal world. You eventually subconsciously subscribe to it in a way and model it in your daily life. Am I going to disservice my fellow man by spreading knowledge of these horrors and even more irreverently attempting to make jokes of them? Or do you agree with the idea of catharsis, and more specifically the school of thought presented by Aristotle, which is that we enjoy and consume these stories of horror, these stories of drama, so that we can feel all these feelings, these acts, these emotions, these hatreds, the pains, the sufferings, the murders, in order to release all of these feelings in a controlled manner? Those are the ones who would agree with me that this is all just for entertainment. Let me know which I am. Am I a secret plight on the modern dialogue, reducing the seriousness with levity, or am I allowing the conversations more accessibility via this window and reducing the actual stress in the hearts of my fellow public? I struggle with this day and night, but clearly not enough to make me stop.